Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
Good morning to all the esteemed guests present here on this 2 days national webinar sponsored by ICSSR ERC, organized by Department of Geography, Surya Sen Mahavidyalaya, on the topic population growth, resource mobilization and environmental sustainability. First of all, I extend my hearty welcome to our Honorable President GB, Sri Jayanta Moulik sir, who is always with us for our all types of academic developments. I extend my hearty welcome to our resource persons, Dr. Ranjan Roy, Professor and Head of the Department of Geography and Applied Geography, University of North Bengal, Dr. Eshita Boral, Department of Geography and Disaster Management, Tripura University, Agartala, for today's sessions. And for tomorrow's sessions, Dr. Shashank Kumar Gayan, Professor and former Head of the Department, Geography, Cooch, Panchanan Verma University, and Dr. Deepak Kumar Mandal, Professor, Department of Geography, University of North Bengal. I also extend my hearty welcome to all the participants and present here on the occasion of this 2 days national seminar organized by Department of Geography, Surya Sen Mahavidyalaya. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such enlightening words. It will forever be ingrained in our hearts. Now, I am requesting Sri Jayanta Moulik, our President of the governing body, who has been instrumental in this institutional journey towards glory, to officially inaugurate the webinar by delivering valuable speech.
Hello,
Hello, sir.
am I audible?
Yes,
Can
sir.
you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. And on behalf of Surya Sen Mahavidyalaya governing body, I would like to welcome all the distinguished guests and thank you Geography Department to give me such an honor and privilege to welcoming all the guests in this webinar, population growth, resource utilization and environment sustainability. This is a very burning issue, the whole world. Everything, environment and the other things should be sustainable from very beginning. And I know you all give a light on this subject. I want to listen to you, but on behalf of my college, which is Surya Sen Mahavidyalaya, 24 years college, where I am involving this college since 2016. From 2019, I'm holding presidential post. We have fantastic faculty group and every department, not only the geography, every department. I gathered such experience from all the members of Surya Sen College, right from the principal to group D staffs. I will carry it till my life. So I'm very proud to be involved with my college and this beautiful and such a lovely college from I welcoming all the dignitaries. So I hope for this today's webinar rather. Uh, uh, have a great success. All the best from me and all the members of my GB. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such an inspiring word. Now, I call upon Ms. Pompi Sarkar, our DIC and convener of this webinar, to introduce the theme of the webinar.
It's a pleasure to extend warm welcome to our president of GB, Sri Jayanta Moulik, and principal Dr. P.K. Mishra. I welcome our renowned resource person, Professor Ranjan Roy, sir, and D.K. Mandal, sir, from Department of Geography and Applied Geography, University of North Bengal. I welcome Dr. Shashank Kumar Gayan from Panchanan Verma University. I welcome Lakpa Tamang from University of Calcutta and Eshita Boral from University of Tripura. I also welcome all the participants present here in ICSSR sponsored national webinar on population growth, resource utilization, and environmental sustainability. Population growth is a global challenge for the whole world, especially in those areas where supply of resource is limited. Many developing countries like India, Brazil already are facing many problems like haphazard population growth due to immigrant from rural area, lack of infrastructure and basic amenities, which leads to environmental degradation. The objective of the seminar is to provide a platform to the participant to discuss problems and aspects of population growth. I think this webinar will be beneficial to all, especially to our student and research scholar in this field. Thank you. Over to you, Sudeshna Madam.
Thank you, Pompi Madam. Now we are going to start our plenary session. Dr. Ranjan Roy will now deliver the keynote address. Professor Ranjan Roy is the current head of the University of North Bengal, Department of Geography and Applied Geography. For the past 20 years, he has been actively involved in teaching and research at the University of North Bengal's Department of Geography and Applied Geography. He is a prominent West Bengal geographer. His academic and research contribution enrich the fields of agricultural geography, transport, and marketing geography, population studies, urban problems, and rural development, to name a few. He is also adept in cartography, population geography, agricultural geography, urban geography, rural development geography, and remote sensing GIS. Sir, kindly oblige us by boosting some light on the topic. It's over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sudeshna, for introducing me.
Thank you, sir.
It is a great pleasure to me to be present here and to say something on the topic population growth, resource utilization, and environmental sustainability. My heartfelt thanks to the Suryoshen Mahavidyalaya College Authority, Honorable President Jayanta Moulik, Honorable Principal Dr. Pranab Kumar Mishra, Head of the Department and Convener of the 2 days webinar, Mrs. Pompi Sarkar, faculty members Mrs. Bhatshati Bhattacharya, Sudeshna Mondal. I am really thankful to all of you for inviting me and giving me a chance to deliver a keynote address on the 2 days webinar, and the topic which has been selected by the college, by the Department of Geography, is really a nice topic because population growth, resource utilization, and environmental sustainability, all these three concepts are very much interrelated with each other. So, keeping in mind these three concepts, I want to highlight some major points regarding these three concepts, that is population growth, resource utilization, and what finally we'll call the environmental sustainability. So I want to share some of my slide presentation. Although all slides I'll not be able to show here, but I'll try to speak on the three aspects: population growth, resource utilization, and environmental sustainability. And at the same time, it is really a privilege to my sincere thanks to all the dignitaries, participants, research scholars, and faculty members of Surya Sen Mahavidyalaya who have untiredly they are attending these 2 days webinar. So the title of the webinar, as I have already mentioned, that is population growth, resource utilization, and environmental sustainability. Population growth. If you see, that at the dawn of agriculture, at the onset of agriculture, which actually took place 8000 BC, so from the present now, 10,000 years back, the population of the world was approximately 5 million. Over the 8000 period up to 1st of AD, the population of the world grew approximately 200 million with a growth rate of under 0.5% annually. A tremendous change in the growth of population actually occurred with the Industrial Revolution, whereas it had taken all human history until around 1800 for world population to reach 1 billion. So up to 1800 century, the population of the world grew by 1 billion, and the second billion was achieved in only 130 years, that is in the year of 1930. The third billion in 30 years, only in 30 years, that is within 30 years, another 1 billion people added in the year 1960. The fourth billion, another 1 billion population was also added just in 15 years, 1974, and the fifth billion only in 13 years, 1987. And in the year 1999, only within 12 years, another 1 billion population was also added. That means third billion, that is 3 billion population, which actually in the year 1960, within 40 years, it actually doubled. So we can imagine, we can see that what a tremendous pace of population growth rate actually took place all over the world. Although there is a spatial variation means the growth of population varies across the region, across the country, across the continent. So that during the 20th century alone, the population in the world has grown from just 1.65 billion to 66 billion. And in the year 1970, there were roughly half as many as people in the world as there are now. At present means in the year 2020-21, this figure is approximately 7.4 billion. Although the total number of population has increased continuously with a tremendous rate, but the fact during the last quarter of the century to till now, there is a declining rate, and it will now take over 200 years to double again. So world population will therefore will continue to grow in the 21st century, but at a much slower rate compared to the recent past. And world population has doubled, 100% increase in 40 years, 1959, that is 1960 to 1999. And it is now estimated that it will take another nearly 40 years to increase by another 50% to become 9 billion by the year 2037. And as you know, the world has changed greatly. Tremendous change has occurred since the 1960s, 70 onwards, when there existed a virtual consensus among Western experts that rapid population growth in the developing world represented a serious global crisis. One of the primary causes of environmental degradation in any region, in any country, could be considered due to the rapid growth of population, which adversely affects the natural resources and environment. Of course, the uprising trend of population growth and the environmental deterioration face the challenge of sustainable development. So, the existence or the absence of favorable natural resource only can facilitate or retard the process of socio-economic development. The three basic demographic factors or components: birth, death, and human migration, they actually produce changes in population size, composition, distribution, and these changes raise a number of important questions of cause and effect. Population growth and economic development are contributing to many serious environmental calamities, not only in India, all over the world. If we consider these calamities, these environmental crises, all of these include heavy pressure on land, land degradation, forest destruction, habitat destruction, loss of biodiversity, and also the quality of the various kinds of resources. Therefore, the changing consumption pattern has led to rising demand for energy with the increased rate of population. In the name of economic development, we have changed our consumption pattern. Although this pattern of consumption of resources vary from developed to less developed economies or countries. So the final outcomes of these are air pollution, global warming, climate change, water scarcity, and water pollution. Here, I can show how the population growth in India in different decades. This diagram here, the bar, this shows, this is actually in the year 1901 to 2021. 2021, that is the estimated data. And it actually shows that how the population growth in our country has also occurred in different decades. And this line graph also shows the decadal change or decadal growth rate of population in our country. Now, coming to the fact that population is an important source of development. Population is an important resource, yet it is a major source of environmental degradation when it actually exceeds the threshold limits of support system. Unless the relationship between the multiplying population and the life support system can be stabilized, development programs, however innovative, are not likely to yield the desired results. Population impacts on the environment primarily through the use of natural resources and production of waste, and is associated with various environmental stresses like loss of biodiversity, air, water pollution, soil pollution, and also increased pressure on the arable land. Because our natural resources are finite. When there is a tremendous pressure of population on natural resources, all of these natural resources, they are getting deteriorated, or the quantity or the availability of all these natural resources are slowing down every year, not only in our country, in many parts of the world. And as the growth of population is mostly in many of the less developed countries, Asian countries, African countries, they are facing the problems of the tremendous growth rate of population, and at the same time, the deterioration of the environmental conditions. So, human population issues are extremely important when it comes to our way of life and our future on this planet. Poverty is a common feature, and poverty is said to be both cause and effect of environmental degradation. The circular link between poverty and environment is an extremely complex phenomenon. Inequality may be fostered untouchability because the poor who rely on natural resources more than the rich, the depletion of natural resources by these poor people take place faster, as they have no real prospects of gaining access to other types of resources. Moreover, the degraded environment can accelerate the process of impoverishment, again because the poor depend directly on natural resources or natural assets. And lack of opportunities for gainful employment in villages and the ecological stresses is leading to an ever-increasing movement of poor families to the urban centers. Huge number of rural populations in many of the underdeveloped and developing countries, they are migrating for their livelihood from the rural areas to the urban centers. And because of tremendous population growth, the developing nations, developing countries and underdeveloped countries, there is the urbanization process which is occurring. All are the unplanned urban growth we are actually observing in the underdeveloped as well as the developing world. So, megacities are emerging and urban slums are continuously expanding. Such rapid and unplanned expansion of cities has resulted at the ultimate outcomes of for the cause of environmental degradation, especially in the developing as well as the underdeveloped nations. Now, coming, if we see the conceptual framework, this is the conceptual framework. So all are interrelated with the population growth. And at the same time, when we are actually talking about the concept of resource utilization, we can say that population growth which are occurring in every parts of the world, and because of the growth of population as the resource utilization, that means the use of the various kinds of resources are taking place every year. But there is a difference between the developed and the underdeveloped countries or the developing countries, that how the resources these are being used by the population or the people of the developed countries as well as the underdeveloped or the developing countries. Coming to this point, here I can show that for Indian example, if I cite example, that if I divide the India into different region, say this is the northern region, this is the western region, this is the central region, this is the southern region, eastern region, and northeastern region. So in these 6 region, what we see that the population pressure naturally, as we know, that leads to over exploitation of natural resources like land, air, water, and often results in contamination and exhaustion of scarce resources. And India's landmass, if we consider, is only 2.4% of the global total, but it is currently home nearly 17% of the world population. Then we can say there are various reasons that how the population, they are actually affecting the utilization of resources and how are they creating the environmental degradation. And because of environmental degradation, which are taking place in every parts of our country in a different scale that should be addressed, that we should go for the environmental একটু পরে ফোন করো, হ্যাঁ? ওকে, কোথায় গেল এটা আবার? Okay. You see, this is the decadal growth of population in India by region for different decades. I have tried to show here. That is poverty and environment degradation is very much interrelated. So it is generally accepted that environmental degradation, rapid population growth, and stagnant productivity are the causal factors for acute poverty in many countries of Asia. Most of India's poor people, they live in rural areas, and here we have seen that in different 5-year plans, as we have already taken the numerous rural development programs since the first 5-year plan onwards to 2017-12 5-year plans, we see that the poverty ratios, especially in the rural areas, is although substantial number of poor people, they are now in a position that they can be at least not, we cannot directly say that they are poor, but still that the poverty ratio in India has been reduced, but still there are many people that the poverty or the poor people, number of poor people in our country, which is also a major concern of the government in our country, be it the different state governments or it may be the central governments. It is a major concern. So, because of this poverty as exists in the rural areas and even in many of the urban slums, what we see, the rural-urban migration is mainly a result of the different rural development programs which have been adopted since the 1950 onwards, and increased urban growth has resulted in uncontrolled migration into cities or urban centers, which has created an unhealthy growth of cities. So urbanization, which is also taking place, which has also taken place in our country, but not in a planned way, but because of unplanned urban growth. Almost every urban center, we see there is a rural to urban migration, and because of huge number of rural to urban migration, the urban environment is also getting deteriorated, and at the same time, the poor quality of urbanization has led to the land degradation, air and water pollution in urban areas also. So nowhere we see the exception, because everything is related with the unprecedented or the tremendous growth of population. All are related with the tremendous growth of population. And in recent years, we see the creation of SEZ and population growth. SEZ means special economic zone, and population growth have resulted in diversion of huge tracts of agricultural land for non-agricultural purposes like construction of new industrial estates, peripheral roads, dams, railway lines, residential use, everything. So, diversion of considerable amount of agricultural land for the various non-agricultural activities in the name of promoting exports through increased industrial development, that actually ultimately results the loss of biodiversity and causes eco-degradation in our country also. So, here we can see that shrinking of agricultural land has several adverse consequences apart from environmental damage and ecological imbalance. And its ill effect could manifest in various ways, such as declining food production, movement of agricultural laborers into manufacturing and construction of various kinds of industries, result ultimate the declining in the net sown area. So that's why when population growth has ultimately occurred in a country like India and in many parts of the world, and resource utilization has taken place in a different way, and environmental degradation has taken place. So the concept of sustainability has grown up. And in the same way, when we are talking about the sustainability concept, the concept of environmental sustainability has become popular concept to address the problems related with the population growth and resource utilization. So, environmental sustainability is now a concept which is really meant to conserve our available natural resources in a sustainable way. In a sustainable way means we will use the present form of natural resources. We will use the different kinds of natural resources in such a way, and at the same time, the population resource also, human resource also, in such a way that it will ultimately go for the conservation of natural resources for the further use of for the future generation also. That's why environmental sustainability has now become, along with the population development. Development means the utilization of resources and also the environmental sustainability. Now, I am not going about the sustainable development goals, because sustainable development, it is a common or a popular agenda all over the world. But the fact is that if we see the Indian picture also, I am not discussing about the world picture. If we see the Indian picture, India, because of the second most populous countries in the world, over-exploitation of natural resources, it is a common feature. But at the same time, we see there are some problems related with the utilization of resources, what I can consider the underutilization of the human resources. What underutilization of the human resources? One trend that is, we can consider, for example, especially the rural women, they are the underutilized resources in our country. Underutilized resources in our country. Why? Because if we see the pattern of utilization of resources in our country, we will see that huge number of rural population, especially the women population, they have not been empowered in the process of development. So this is one of the backdrop, and if we want to go for the equity development for the country as a whole, we will have to bring the rural women. I am not talking about the urban women, because urban women, to some extent, they are, as a resource, have been considered as the resource, and they are in the process of development. They are involved in the process of development. But the fact is that the huge number of rural women, they are not. They are still beyond the circle of developmental process, even in our country. So if we want to go for the equity development, really, we need to bring the rural women in the mainstream of our development. And another thing, that when we are talking about the environmental sustainability should be supported by the government also. It is not only that some of the academicians or some of the businessmen, they will take the whole of the responsibility to protect the environment, to conserve the environment from the government and from all sectors of the people who are in the development process. They'll have to take the initiative that how we can go for further conservation of our resources. So the fact is that we should go consideration all these things in detail, that how can we go for the environmental sustainability in our country. So as I have divided the whole country in all 6 regions have been experiencing environmental degradation as in various degrees. So the environmental decay, the extent of environmental decay has been directly related to the physical characteristics in the region in question. For example, the northeastern region has the highest growth of population, but due to its unique physical characteristics such as a small population, low population density, and larger forested area, it has experienced a lower degree of environmental degradation. Though the eastern and central regions have higher population, they are, however, endowed with a larger geographical area and therefore have experienced relatively low levels of environmental degradation. And the same trend is visible in the southern and western regions. And in contrast, environmental degradation is severe in the northern region due to overpopulation. And taking all these facts, if we want to bring all the people in the mainstream of our development, we will have to consider that all people, especially the human resource who are really underutilized, who have not been brought under the mainstream of our development, they should be brought, and the responsibility, it is not only the responsibility of the state government, it is also the responsibility of the central government. And several well-being approach as of now today being taken up. This should be widely introduced for the eradication of poverty, for the reduction of the rural to urban migration, and to reduce the number of population to the total figure of our population in our country. So the population growth, resource utilization, and environmental sustainability, the topic has chosen by the Department of Geography, Suryashan Mahavidyalaya, is really a very good topic. And as we know, the India has already started or is demographic transition from third to fourth stage of demographic transition, but although not uniformly throughout the country, we will have to consider the policymakers, governments, academicians, researchers will have to think how do we can reduce our number of population, how do we can go for the appropriate utilization of resource, both the natural as well as the human resource, and at the same time, how the environmental sustainability, because sustainable development is an umbrella. Under this sustainable development, how the environmental sustainability can be achieved for the economic development of our country, where the second largest world populations are living with just 2.4% of the geographical area. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. It was very informative and engaging. Sir, in YouTube, there is a question from one of the participants. The question
No
is,
problem.
as
জোরে
per,
বলো একটু। হ্যাঁ।
okay, sir. Presently, we are enjoying demographic dividend. So how we can utilize this human resource in innovative way to develop our economy?
Please.
Presently, we are enjoying demographic dividend. So how we can utilize these human resources in innovative way to develop our economy?
Okay, very good. Practically, that when I have already mentioned that is, we should not consider that human resource are only the problems or the population as a problem only. Population as a resource, if we consider, so the large number of population, especially the women section, the rural women, they are not involved in the process of development. Okay? And because of the non-involvement of the rural women in the development process, there is a underutilization of the human resource. If we bring this major rural women, major portion of the rural women in the development process, then what we can consider the economic development, the equity economic development is possible. Equity economic development means the benefit of the economic development can be reached to the every corner of the society. Okay?
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, one by one participant should unmute their mic and address their question to our resource person. If anyone want to ask any question. So now we are going to our next resource person. Our next resource person is Dr. Deepak Kumar Mandal. Professor Deepak Kumar Mandal, PhD, is a well-known personality in the field of remote sensing and GIS. He was completed his BSc in Geography degree in 1988 from the Presidency College. and Presidency University, Kolkata, and MSc in Geography in 1990 from the University of Calcutta. He has carried out the research work at the Department of Geography, University of Calcutta as UGC, GRF, and SRF NET, and awarded PhD Science in Geography. He has completed 10 months postgraduate diploma in remote sensing and GIS from the Geoscience Division, India Institute of Remote Sensing, IIRS, Department of Space, USA, National Remote Sensing Center, NRSC, Government of India, Dehradun, in the year 2002. As a faculty member in the University of North Bengal since 1995, teaching physical geography along with remote sensing, GIS, photogrammetry, aerial photo interpretation, and GPS applications, both at the post-graduation and MPhil level. Now I over to you, sir, Dr. Deepak Kumar, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Am I audible properly?
Yes, sir.
No, in the last session, spoken by my colleague, Mr. Ranjan Roy, throughout the period, I was listening. I was not listening properly because of some sound-related problem. I don't know how other participants got sound. My voice is clear to all of you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, but what you are responding by yes, I am listening somehow disturbed. I don't know why it is so.
It
Your
is a
voice is clear,
network
sir.
issue. Deepak Babu, it is a network issue.
Sir, your voice is clear, sir.
Okay, if my voice is clear, it is all right.
No,
But
actually,
most of
my
the
sound,
time I
my
got
sound would
very
be clear
disturbed sound.
if I
I
could
don't know
have
why it is.
actually stop my video. Uh, as I actually keep my video on, so that's why it actually creates some problem.
Anyway,
No, sir, even your voice was also clear for me. I don't know about other participants, but for me, your voice was also clear.
Maybe. Thank you.
just a minute.
Thank you, sir.
আছে কিনা দেখো ওয়াইফাইটা অন আছে কিনা দেখ তার সত্ত্বেও আচ্ছা ওকে anyway I am joining with mobile although laptop is available but I am not liking to use that one and video all time I have decided not to keep one anyway little bit of course feeling uneasy because of some incident happened in last week. Has given word to my scholar Pompi, and that's why just for few words to say today. Now, although I was in plan to listen fully covering 2 days, and at the end of 2 days, I was in plan to talk something after listening a lot because basically I do not belong to the
topic selected specifically population growth, resource utilization, and then sustainability something. Anyway, after talking with my scholar Pompi, I decided, okay, let to talk something, and of course I was in plan to collect some information by allotting at least for few days by using internet, but I failed to do all those things because of my little bit physical unfitness. Anyway, topic concern, of course, nowadays most of the people opt. Now, what appears to me as a whole, population growth, as our earlier speakers explained very nicely with so many data, diagram, trend line, and many other things. And it is, of course, known to us how population growth taken place, and it is continuing throughout the world. So, very nicely has pointed out. Now, at the same time, resource utilization is another part of this seminar, and finally, sustainable environment, sustainable development. The term for the first time, the Bengali version, I came to know by participating on one of the seminars, not webinars, sometimes in 1994. By that time, I was the course scholar in Calcutta University, and I went to Khabar, Janginagar University, just very close to Dhaka. And somehow, as per their own norm, own culture, they everything like to have in Bengali. And the term sustainable development they used, which I'm liking to communicate to, Teksoi Unnayan. Sustainable development in Bengali, Teksoi Unnayan. Okay, it was really acceptable. I was, of course, little bit surprised by listening that Bengali term, Teksoi Unnayan. Then we know how population growth, resource utilization, our lifestyle, time to time change, and it is a continuous process, we know. Now, main problem, what appears to me, in one side, although at present or in recent time or in last few decades, throughout the world showing declining trend. It is increasing, but with a decreasing rate. It is the reality, and we are, of course, happy. And throughout the world, control of population is the main requirement, because whenever we know all that whenever we are more in number, so per capita resource, it may be land, it may be anything else, it is just less and less. So ultimately, all the time, what we are doing, if we go back to our time of industrial revolution, then what we saw by that time? No, just overnight in Europe, in Britain particularly, we saw no steam engine invention and mechanization for utilization of newly invented so many gigantic size, big size machinery. and to enjoy the facility of large-scale production with less wastage, with more number of output in a very limited time, and all those in fact was the advantage. But it was seen that the resources required for enjoying such and such advantages through utilization of newly invented big size machinery, no, we need huge amount of raw material. Now, this whatever the raw material was available in that locality, in their country, it was exhausting very rapidly. So they thought, no, it is not the sufficient amount we have in our locality. So you just go and find more and more new areas where we have resources, where from we can bring to meet the hungriness of all those large-scale machineries invented overnight in Europe. So that was the one new journey started just to find what we call in our subject, this exploration, discovery and exploration. You go here and there, you find a new country, you find new island, you find new areas where from we can collect raw material and we can bring to meet the hungriness of all those gigantic size of machinery. So you see, resource collection and their utilization, it was totally guided by the industrial revolution demand to meet the large size machinery. And with time, in one side that in medical science there are a lot of development, and in other side in science and technology overall development in terms of communication, in terms of many other spheres. The nowadays much more popular technique what we are enjoying a lot by utilizing all those the satellite images, remote sensing, GIS, GPS and many other things. So all those things ultimately in one hand helping us to get more and more advantages, weighted and much more acceptable way of management of resources. But at the same time, population growth till date, it is not at the desired level. There are a lot of laws and norms, but all those we know very well that all those are not efficiently utilized. So problems are there, rules are there, but failures are much more than our achievement. And that is the main problem today worldwide. We are definitely second populous country of the world. So we have lot of resources, in fact, particularly if we look at different part of our country, and uneven distribution is of population is definitely the reality. It is not only in India, not only in Bengal, rather in throughout the world. But in reality, what we are seeing with time, that in one hand, the awareness of common people, what we are expecting from everybody, it is not at all uniformly we have. Till date, what we see in our own locality, wherever we are staying, particularly in urban area, there are a lot of norms to keep our roads keep our surroundings clean, neat and clean, but there are some people, they are obeying the norm, but at the same time, another section, they are either partially obeying or not at all obeying. They are throwing here and there whatever they have as the wastage. So it is very common picture. So you see, our main task is definitely in terms of environment, in terms of the cleanliness of our surroundings, is just to have more and more awareness. And awareness not only will help them, I will suggest definitely to have some punishable measures. Otherwise, it should not be as the imprisonment, no, but combinedly, as there is no punishment, so people are taking very lightly, as people are taking everything very casually. So ultimately, whatever announcement, whatever postering, whatever norms are framing by different DOs and NGOs, announcing a lot to communicate to everybody, but ultimately there is a partial failure at least. So whatever we are talking about, sustainability, sustainable development, clean environment, and many other things, definitely side by side, more and more effective rules is the need of the hour. There are definitely some, in one hand, I will say the wrong step, in other hand, definitely the requirement. I am basically belonging to South Bengal. 24 paragraphs north is my the home district, and definitely Sundarban area is close to, of course not much close, but as a whole in terms of geographical entity, it is part of Sundarban area. Of course, reclaimed Sundarban. Now, we know it is not only in Sundarban, but also in North Bengal and many other parts of our country, that Britishers, particularly in 1770, started cleaning, started clearing jungles and just to occupy the land, not for their own use, rather just to give the lease to local people, and local people may not be available sufficiently. So many people migrated to that locality, particularly if you look at both the 24 paragraphs in South Bengal, we saw many people came from Midnapur, and they are definitely came by that time only to meet the demand for labor to cut the trees and to construct the earthen embankment along both sides of the tidal tree. So Britishers simply planned just to collect revenue by giving lease to all those newly cleared land to the local people, and to collect some valuable logs of Sundarban forest for their own utilization by sending to their country to Britain. So you see, it was there for their own interest. In one hand, to collect more revenue from such and such areas, in other hand, to collect some valuable logs of trees for their own utilization for furniture purpose, of course, furniture or for any sort of construction purpose. So ultimately, that area where I belong, lot of problem later on came up. Whenever even a minor or small or medium hardly cyclone just visiting that area, destroying lot of embankment. So it is very common, and in recent time, cyclone in a year, the frequency increased many times. It was earlier say about 5 to 6 months, 5 to 6 years the frequency, but now it has totally turned into 3 to 4 in a year. And that type of changes may be related to the global warming and other things, but it is the reality. So you see, ultimately the wrong thinking of Britishers, ultimately construction of earthen embankment along so many rivers. It is the same in case of Ananda, in case of Tista, and in case of many other rivers. We have embankment and embankment. If we go back to trace the history of embankment construction in our country, we will find all those things started by Britishers, and all those things ultimately resulted into so many negative effects. We know how the floor of the channel experienced impingement siltation as we have stopped forcefully inundation on the adjoining floodplain, but through the natural process of siltation, but the flood water bring a lot of sediment, and that sedimentation over the adjoining floodplain is the simple process of land building. But we have totally forcefully stopped by jacketing all the rivers. It is not only in case of South Bengal tidal creek, but also in many other parts of the world, particularly in India. So ultimately, you see, one of the problem is very common embankment breaching. Because of what? Because the adjoining land, definitely, which was supposed to get silted by flooding, right? But ultimately, there is no gain of sediment over the adjoining floodplain, and floodplain is definitely not matured. It is immature area. Definitely, a time will come through the continuous process of filtration during repeated flood, right? That land might attain sufficient height, and the high tide water particularly won't be able to cover up, won't be able to submerge. So ultimately that land might be mature enough, and it might appear above the high tide level, and the mangrove forest, there is no need of cutting the tree. Rather, mangrove forest by its very common common adaptation, if there is no inundation by saline tidal water twice in a day, the mangrove forest automatically will die up. So there is no necessity at all, and that thing happens in the northern part of North 24 Parganas, in say Bonga area, or in Degonga area. So you see how our wrong technique, we have invited the problem. At the same time, the solid level raised rapidly, because whatever siltation is going on, it is going on within the channel. So ultimately, in some places, we find no adjacent land is at a lower level than the solid level. So ultimately, the reverse condition, it was definitely not so before construction of earthen embankment. So ultimately, the lot of newly created hydraulic pressure is responsible for failure of such and such earthen embankment. So you see where from the problem originated and how that problem facing by the people concerned. At the same time, we find those areas till date mostly monocrop. Why it is so? Because the land building process we stop forcefully, and ultimately there are a lot of till date lot of big size tidal creeks, they contain saline water, and there is a definitely process starting through the siltation and ultimately lithification, and is passed through so many stages. So till date, in the southern part particularly, where such and such tidal creeks are there jacketed by earthen embankment, where the lithology is till date not sufficiently compact. To attain that much compactness, it required time. So ultimately what happens, whenever local people liking to get irrigation water through a monsoon period to cultivate something, ultimately there is a failure, because the aquifers in those areas still having connection with the nearby tidal creek. So you see how people are really suffering from a lot of difficulties just because of the wrong decision to acquire immature area, to collect revenue by Britishers, to cut trees and all those things. But all those problems are not at all there in northern part, or the natural process of dying up of the mangrove forest taken place, where people are getting fresh underground water for Rabi monsoon period utilization. So there is no problem at all. They are cultivating even 3 times crop, and they are enjoying a lot by using the same plot of land twice, even thrice in a year. So they are really happy, no problem they are facing. But at the same time, intervention into nature, how create a lot of problems, it is vividly clear to us. In other cases, nowadays, people talk about that what to do, what not to do, how to maintain environmental quality, environmental sustainability. What appears to me that whatever we talk about, in one hand, definitely large number of population need more shelter, need more school, need more roads, more hospital and many other things. So in one hand, definitely I will suggest to utilize more and more scientific way for all those things, such as we can minimize the pollution level. We know particularly this time, just in the month of November, in our capital of our country, Delhi, faces a lot of problems due to smog. Now, we know very well, whatever the order or directive issued by the High Court of different states, at the same time our Supreme Court, Delhi. But ultimately, I don't know that why we are not taking care of stopping production of all those pollution creating cracks and other things. I don't know. We are announcing don't use such and such things, but we are not at all telling no, stop production of such and such things. If we can stop production, then common people won't be able to collect those and won't be able to do something illegal what we are announcing just during puja. So it is really surprising thing.
Yes,
It is
sir.
the same thing we know. Yes. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now another thing that
Yes, sir. Namita, I'll say yes, sir.
just a minute. How long I can talk? Pompi? Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, I am asking how long I can talk.
Sir, you can take 5 minutes more.
No, up to what time? Now it is 12:37 or 38.
12:40.
12:30.
12:40.
12:40, sir.
No, I want to know.
Sir,
Your
Mondal, you
time
can
is up to
finish
1:30.
by,
Now,
you can take 5 minutes more.
oh, 5 minutes more. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Now, another thing is that we know about Delhi. Now we say that another source of pollution and very big source for this time problem what in every year Delhi light experience. It is just burning of agricultural field, particularly the root of agricultural pitches. Now, this problem is not at all possible to control because there is no other alternative at all. But it is going on. We are only shouting to stop bursting crackers. At the same time, which one is possible in case of Delhi? We know very well that we can regulate the construction process, particularly during these 2 to 3 months. Otherwise, no other alternatives are effective. We know it very well. Another environment-related issue nowadays what we see now the immersion of our idols. Now, in last month, last puja in Bengal, one new idea little bit popularized, that artificial arrangement of immersion. Of course, it is one of the good way. Whatever faith we have that to until and unless you are immersing into river Ganga or nearby rivers, your process is incomplete. No, we have to change our mind. At the same time, the people's mentality, people's ritual, people's their norms, they are practicing for long. It might be changed. Otherwise, whatever we will discuss, nothing won't be fruitful at all. One experience, my experience I will share with you. Sometimes I went to Bangalore for 3 weeks on training course. Then during field work I saw, particularly in evening time, just on both sides of the road passes through a settlement. I mean that before entering into the settlement and after crossing the settlement on both sides, I saw during the evening time lot of women. They are standing on both sides of the road. It was really questionable to me. What for they are waiting? I later on came to know that it is simply for that for the toileting. Oh, it was really very surprised to me. They don't have toilet. They said no, they don't have toilet. Okay, let government to come forward for that arrangement. Later on, I came to know, no, they are not ready to accept any government project because they believe that toileting in your own premise is totally unlawful as per their religious faith. What is surprising information you just think about? Toileting within your own area, it is as per their faith is totally illegal, totally out of practice. They think it is a very big sin. You just think about. So it is not the question of their poor economic condition. It is not the question of the local government not at all helping anything to have a toilet. It is simply because they are faith. If you do toilet in your own area, it is a very big sin, and definitely God or Goddess punish you. What you will do? What project of central or state government will help them? No project. Only thing is that somehow, definitely in long back, somebody said, no, you never do toilet in your own locality, in your own land, rather to go outside, roadside, and throughout the day you cannot do anything. Only by night time you go out and you finish your work just on roadside. What is surprising condition being Indian people till date we are having. We are discussing a lot, we are suggesting a lot, but there are lot of lacuna in this field. Another information I got about the people's awareness. Recently I came to know it is not at all far away from, they are simply in the district of Midnapur, West Midnapur. What I came to know, there are some people, they don't know that just having food twice in a day, they don't know at all. How surprising it is. They know only once in a day. Why it is so? Because it is from a long practice. In one side and in other side, they have definitely poverty. So combinedly poverty and the remote location and their common practice, ultimately they take food once in a day. One of my scholars recently visited that spot, and he told me that it is really surprising. They don't know what is ration at all. They hardly, but they never get it. You just imagine. We are demanding now. We have done a lot of things, and we are really developed in so many respects, eradication of poverty and many other things. But ground reality, in some cases, it is totally different. Anyway, as said, organizers, time is very limited. So definitely I will congratulate to all of you, particularly Dr. Mishra, whom I know very well, principal of the college, and others faculty member with whom I know them, and the entire team of Utilization College, many of them known to me, and the organizing department of geography, head and others, colleagues, and everybody who have extended their helping hand for organizing this seminar, and the participants, of course, without which this kind of occasion remains partially fulfilled. So definitely I will congratulate my colleague Ranjan Roy for delivering keynote address, and other speakers, as I know so far, my another scholar Lakpa, and one more I can't remember right now, of course known to me. Anyway, to all of them my great wishes, and I hope and wish for great success of this event. Thank you all. If there is anybody liking to ask anything, you are free to ask.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your amazing lecture. It was really informative. Now, we are moving our next resource person. Our next resource person is Dr. Ishita Boral. Dr. Ishita Boral is an assistant professor in the Department of Geography and Disaster Management of Tripura University. She has done her specialization in urban and transport geography. She has completed her doctoral research on the development of highway in West Bengal from the University of Calcutta. She was attached with IQC of Tripura University as a member. She has visited Germany and Poland with the fellowship of UGC and University of Kolkata as research fellow. Dr. Boral has published her research work in the referred journal of national and international and also contributed chapter in various books published by the national level publishing house. Currently, 2 research scholars are pursuing their PhD under her guidance. I am requesting Dr. Ishita Boral for her deliberation.
Thank you, Sudeshna. Good afternoon to all. I extend my regards to the President GB, Mr. Jayanta Moulik, Principal of the College, Dr. Pranab Kumar Mishra, Professor Ranjan Roy, Professor D.K. Mondol, DIC and Convener of the seminar, Srimati Pompi Sarkar, faculty members and other dignitaries. On the onset, I want to thank the organizing committee for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts, particularly on transport, on which I'm working in this national webinar on population growth, resource utilization, and environmental sustainability. It is indeed an honor to share the platform with Professor Ranjan Roy and Professor D.K. Mondol, whose contribution in the geography of Bengal is so significant. Now, moving on to my moving on to my topic, I'm going to talk on the sustainability in urban transport. Much has been spoken on the sustainable urban transport, and there has been a lot of work on sustainable transport. However, I'm going to concern myself with 2 important facets of urban transport, that is public transport and transit-oriented development. And I would like to take instances from my own city, that is Kolkata. Sustainable transport implies finding a proper balance between environment, social, and economic inequalities, both for future and current generations. Sustainable approach to urban transport will improve mobility and accessibility in urban areas. Such an approach balances the need to address environmental concerns with the need to provide affordable mobility choices to rapidly growing urban areas. Thus, sustainable urban transport aims to provide portable, accessible, equitable, comfortable, secure, and eco-friendly transport services. Urban transport systems have direct economic impact on cities. Availability of good and efficient transport services at affordable prices also enhances the quality of life of the residents. The importance of public transportation has also come under increased focus due to its impact and contribution on the way sustainable transportation system that allows individuals and societies to meet their basic needs, human and ecosystem health, promotes equity within various generations. It should be an affordable, efficient system which offers choice of transport mode and supports the competitive economy. It should also be one where balanced regional development is possible. If you do the Indian context, if you look to the situation of India, in 2011, Nearly 350 million people lived in Indian cities, and another 300 million new residents were to join this decade. The population of 6 major million metropolis increased by about times, and the motor also went up by 7.75 times. Vehicle population also has increased around 251 million in 2017. Another important characteristics which affects the total scenario in the country is the unplanned and the haphazard development of roads both in the city core and the periphery, which are inadequate in terms of infrastructure and public services. India has about 5.5 million kilometers of road network, which is supposedly the second largest road network in the country. Its share to all goods is 64.5%, and about 90% of total passenger traffic use road network for commutation. But in spite of that, around 95% of the existing road network is neither a state highway or a national highway. Undoubtedly, the increase in the population has increased the travel demand, and it has increased by 8 times since 1980. Another very important element is that another very important statistics shows that Indians have brought nearly 54,000 vehicles each day of calendar year 2018, as against 18,000 a day a decade back. This has impacted, undoubtedly, the transport scenario of the country, and there has been a rampant urban sprawl, which has resulted in increased number and length of trips, which are forcing increasing motorized transportation. Roads are highly congested, and there's an incompatible mix of traffic in the same road space, which are moving at widely different speeds. Private vehicle population has increased, which has which shows the share of the modal share has grown exponentially over the last 2 decades, and the two-wheelers has contributed about 72% to the total modal share. The rise of traffic congestion has led to more demand of road space, and the road space are largely utilized by motorized transport, because of which the road space for pedestrians and cyclists have reduced significantly. Inadequate road accommodation for buses as well as non-motorized transportation is a significant picture of Indian transport scenario. Cost of travel has also increased considerably. It is largely because the use of cheaper non-motorized transport like cycling and walking has become very risky. It is seen that cycling have reduced to less than 11% of the modal share to nearly from nearly 30% in 1994. Travel in the city per square kilometer has also become riskier, and the accident rates have also gone up significantly from 1.6 lakhs to 3.9 lakh. An extremely high level of transport-related pollution, noise pollution, and other environmental impacts is significant as far as transportation in the country is concerned. Motorized two-wheelers and cars have contributed to 60% and 90% of the total greenhouse gas emissions in our cities, while supporting only 29% of the trips. Now, linking sustainable transport to urban development. There has been several government and non-government organizations which have been working on sustainable transport, and they have highlighted several elements of transportation which leads towards sustainable transportation. An amalgamation of all these I have put down them An amalgamation of all of them I've put into 5 major points. One is the eco-friendly public transport, majorly the mass rapid transit system. Second is the transit-oriented development. Third is the streets for moving people. Fourth is parking, correct parking, right parking. And finally, safe transport. For today's presentation, I would be concerned with the first two elements or first two topics, that is eco-friendly public transport and transit-oriented development. Before moving to these two elements, I would first like to talk about the transport scenario of the area that I'm going to be taking as an example, that is Kolkata. Between 1985 to 2010, the total vehicular population for Kolkata has increased 4 times, from 2,61,000 to 10,62,000 in the city. The share of personal vehicles has increased to 83%, of which 44% are motorbike, 44% are private cars, and 39% are motorbikes. In comparison to this, the commercial vehicles account for only 15% of the area. The motorable road in Kolkata Municipal Corporation area is 1,870 kilometers, and the vehicular carrying capacity is 0.35 million. But vehicle density study by the Kolkata Traffic Police shows that about 2.7 million vehicles are plying in Kolkata streets on an average weekdays. Between 1998 to 2008, the personal car ownership has also risen from 1.73 to 11%. Not only in the case of two-wheelers, but also there has been a significant decrease in the percentage of households having no vehicle. That is from 61% to 49% significantly. Private car and taxi, altogether, they cater only 11% passengers, but occupy 47% of the road space, while public transport such as bus and minibus catering to 76% of the passengers occupy much lesser road space. So my first element that I'm going to discuss is public transportation. Public transportation, as already has been pointed out, should have few elements for which it will emerge as a popular mode. It should be a good quality transit system, which is within the accessible distance from home and workplace. It should be reliable and comfortable. It should maximize capacity. And integrated public transportation with that of intermediate public transportation or paratransit modes is helpful in improving accessibility, thus enhancing the popularity of the public transport. Another important element for developing public transport is nodal classification. Nodal classification indicates that all those nodes where the public transport is traversing has to be categorized or hierarchically classified. Nodes with greater intersection of either same public transport system or varied public transport system has to be given higher priority in development as compared to the other nodal areas. Keeping in mind this, let's look into the movement character of the streets in the city of Kolkata. Private buses and public buses, they have the lion's share in traveling volume of passengers in the city. Suburban rail transport also have a significant share, but being only an intercity mode connecting commuters to and from the city, considering suburban railways as a major public transport within the city for intracity transport is not very effective. Rather, public transportation should be well connected with the suburban railway in the city. So in this situation, another very important mass transport mode that has gained popularity or has where the level of volume of passengers has increased over time is that of metro railways. Metro railways has significantly moved or increased its passenger volume since its inception. Coming to the road condition, as already mentioned, if we look into the bus services and the private cars in this connection, buses and minibuses, they have a modal share of 12% only, as against private cars. Now, compared to passenger modal share, buses have about 76% of passenger modal share, whereas its road share is only 32%, while passenger modal share for private cars is 6%, but its road share is 29%. This is alarming for all cities of the country, because the personalized vehicles is on the rise. This creates, or this causes reduction in the road space for mass transit modes. Public transportation, as in case of Kolkata, buses being the most important mode, average speed of buses reduced as compared to other cities' transport modes. The average vehicle speed in Kolkata Municipal Corporation is less than 19 kilometers per hour. The vehicle speed declined to less than 15 kilometers per hour during the peak hours, which has further reduced the movement, particularly during the peak hours. Further, traffic intersection points have intersection points because of the stoppages provided by the public transport. Delay of 4 to 8 minutes is possible. Keeping in mind these limits, I'm going to discuss on two factors of travel. One, the travel time. Other is the emission level. For both of them, I have tried to calculate the cost, and the social cost, and I will be comparing that with that of the public transportation that are present in the city. If you look into the corridor speed of selected roads in the city, it is way behind or way below the permissible limit of 40 kilometers per hour as given by the Kolkata Traffic Police. Further, and calculated mobility index, which has been used to measure the congestion scenario of the selected streets, display that in all the streets, the mobility index is either 0.5 or less than 0.5, indicating that range of mobility in the city of Kolkata is much lower. Considering few roads which have a 0.5 mobility index, it could be considered that in these roads, before that, let me first say the mobility index has been calculated in terms of the passenger car units, and the corridor speed. The passenger car units for streets like RG Core and Jodunath Ukil Road is considerably lower, indicating higher mobility index. But in case of streets like Jyotirmohan Mohan Avenue, Bhupendra Bose Avenue, there are other factors along with passenger car units which have resulted in much lower mobility level. Significant example could be given of the Chittaranjan Avenue or the Central Avenue, where the mobility index is comparatively better, that is 0.4, but its passenger car units is also very high. Even though passenger car unit is very high, mobility index, higher mobility index indicate that this road has a well traffic management system. The road width is quite good, and the encroachment of footpath and other pedestrian walking behavior is comparatively better. Now, if we again come back to the corridor speed, it is to be mentioned here that vehicle speed has a direct impact on the rate of emission. Deceleration of traffic speed leads to rise in emission of pollutants. As the speed limit of the city for both buses and auto rickshaws is much lesser than 25 kilometers per hour, the emission of suspended particulate matter in this city is much higher. The emission from different vehicles has been plotted in this particular graph. It is estimated during the normal flow condition, and it is seen that in the selected roads, mild traffic congestion occurs and the average vehicle speed is less than 20 kilometers per hour. Thus, the emission level is significantly high in particularly streets like Central Avenue and SP Mukherjee Road, etc. Coming to the cost incurred in both of these elements, the traffic congestion, which is a considerable of working hours, is wasted on streets because of the congestion, which straightaway puts an adverse effect on the economy. An effort has been made to estimate the loss of time in terms of monetary value along the road stretches parallel along the road stretches. The congestion cost has been computed. The congestion cost that has been computed shows that rupees 2 lakh is lost in 2 hours between 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., which is basically the peak hours in a single day. Hence, the loss during the peak hour traffic congestion for entire month would be estimated to about rupees 60,000, and the annual loss would be around 7 million. Of course, it should be mentioned here that the actual loss in monetary value would be much higher because the passenger car is operated almost throughout the day, and the peak hour extends much more than what has been estimated. The rise in number of personalized vehicles and comparably insufficient road space is a prime reason for increasing congestion scenario in the streets. There's also an encroachment of footpath, which should be which creates a lot of pedestrians to walk on the main street, sharing the same road space with any other vehicles on road. A huge number of on-street illegal parking takes place, which causes congestion in the road. Another important element is the traffic management at intersection points. Signaling system at times are faulty. Complete ignorance of traffic rules by pedestrian and drivers play a lesser important role, but however also contributes to congestion. Now coming to the second cost, that is the social cost. Social cost is estimated based on the emission level. Air pollution increases 40% due to traffic congestion. In Kolkata, majority of the passenger vehicles use petrol and diesel as fuel. Over 80,000 of auto rickshaws, comprising unregistered ones that ply in and around Kolkata, are majorly using the polluting mixture of petrol and kerosene, which is popularly known as Kata Tel. Therefore, the reduction of traffic speed at all intersection points creates high level of emission. The estimated social cost for 2 peak hour traffic is rupees 68,000 per day. In a year, therefore, the social cost for for these selected roads would be rupees 2 million. In case of surface transport modes, bus considered as the most efficient mode, but though its per head emission is less, being most of the fleet being old, its contribution to carbon dioxide emission is very high. Now, I'll just compare the metro railway in this connection. Availing metro railway instead of bus, taxi, or even private vehicles in these routes that has been selected, they increase mobility. It is not only the fastest mode having its own route, but also it has a very low congestion level because it is operating on electricity. Metro railway ridership has increased to 7 lakh passengers on an average weekday. It is quite evident that metro railway, they perform a crucial role in the share of in the modal share as compared to any other public transport in the city. Study Dept. Yes.
Have another technical session. Please take another 5 minutes. Okay.
Yes, only I know 7 minutes are left now for me to speak.
Okay.
I'll complete within that week.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So as I was saying, that Kolkata Metro Railway, it debits as compared to any other mode of transport. Since it's operating on electricity, it has a very low air quality. Even if you consider that the electricity that is used to operate metro railway is generated from non-conventional sources such as coal, still the metro railway emit much less amount of carbon dioxide as compared to any other road transport mode. Further, Kolkata Metro Railway has a maximum carrying capacity of 2,400 passengers, which generates 2.23 gram per kilometer per passenger of carbon dioxide emission, which is much lesser as compared to bus or any other public transport mode in the city. The probability of choice of transport mode shows that metro railway services is preferred in terms of these two costs. It is seen that metro railway is preferred over longer distance as compared to the shorter distance. In case of shorter distance, in comparing with the cost, bus services are much more preferred. The second point that I wanted to talk about is a transit-oriented development. I will just touch on the topic. It is like the transit-oriented development. They try to connect and complete the street system, integrate it, and prepare a compact system for shorter commutation. The traffic flow in the city streets, they show that most of the streets during the peak hour is slow traffic, shows slow traffic movement. And this picture is also quite similar for that of lean hour traffic, where for few roads, the traffic movement is very slow. Now, it is related that traffic flow is dependent on road geometry, like the topography, subsoil, land use, as well as the road infrastructure, that is the cross-section, side distance, vertical and horizontal element in the road intersection. Integrating built-up areas with that of traffic speed shows that areas where built-up area is less, traffic speed is comparatively higher. Similar is the case for land use pattern. In areas where open space is more, traffic speed is much higher. Road infrastructure in compared to site distance, road width, and road infrastructure indicates that in all these three elements, areas where site distance is more, site distance, which is the length of a road visible ahead of the driver at any distance, traffic flow is higher. If the road width is more, traffic speed is higher. And if the intersection is less, then if the number of intersection is less on a road, the traffic speed will be uninterrupted. In conclusion, I would just like to state that in case of public transport services, in most of the cities, bus rapid transit has already popularly taking shape. But in case of Kolkata, bus rapid transit is not as significant as the metro railway services. So mass rapid transit services indicate metro railway, which if integrated as it is seen in the city, there are a number of routes that are coming up, and integrating the metro railway to form an integrated network, it would ensure a better public transport in the city. Further, the road characteristics and the land use characteristic, if it is integrated, it will ensure a proper travel for the city streets in Kolkata. I would just like to end by saying Pune had won the Sustainable Transport Award in 2020. It has improved its streets. It has complete streets, it has a proper BRT system. It has roads for cyclists and motorists and transit riders. So if Pune can, all other cities can. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was very illuminating and intriguing. Thank you so much once again. Now, the much awaited technical session 1 will begin. Best of luck to all the participants. Thank you. It's over to you, Dr. Jimmy Kaur, Assistant Professor, Vidyasagar College.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all. Since we are running short of time, I won't take much time. I would like to welcome Dr. Ranjan Roy, sir, as a chairperson for this technical session. And I will request all the participants to be. Hello, am I audible?
Yes. How many participants?
Sir, there are 3 participants for this session.
Sanchayita, Bhadury, and
yes, Sanchayita, Bhadury, Krishna.
joint paper.
Yes, sir.
Another Krishna Patru, Abhijit Sen.
Krishna Patru, Abhijit Sen, Dr. Tapan Kumar Das. It's a joint paper. And next we have Arati Ponchosh, what's the name? Arati
Pansekar and Savita Kulkarni.
Kulkarni. Yes, sir.
All are present.
Please
Present.
let us. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So very good afternoon. So we are going to start our first technical session.
Good afternoon,
And
sir.
as reported by the organizing committee, so there are 3 papers. The first paper, it is a joint paper. Sanchayita Bhadury and Dr. Tapan Kumar Das. Title of the paper, Socio-Economic Status of Domestic Workers in Urban Areas of Cooch Behar District. So first of all, I would like to invite Sanchayita Bhadury, who will actually present, Sanchayita Bhadury or Dr. Tapan Kumar Das?
Yes, sir. Sir, I
Yes.
am audible, sir.
Yes, yes. So you start your presentation, and for your presentation, you can take 10 minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay. Good afternoon, all of you. I am Sanchayita, respected chairperson, chairman, and co-chairmen, and other participants. I am Sanchayita Bhadury, research scholar of Cooch Behar Panchanan Burma University, Department of Geography. Today, I am presenting my research paper jointly with my supervisor, Dr. Tapan Kumar Das. My research paper name is Socio-Economic Status of Female Domestic Workers in Urban Areas of Cooch Behar District. This is my study area. My study area is all urban areas in Cooch Behar District. Cooch Behar District is situated in the foothills of Eastern Himalaya in West Bengal. The district lies between the 25 degree 57 minute 47 second north to 26 minute 26 degree 36 minute 20 second north latitude and 89 degree 52 minutes east to 88 degree 45 minutes 2 second east latitude. Urban areas of Cooch Behar district consist of 6 municipalities. These are Cooch Behar municipality, Mathabanga municipality, Dinhata municipality, Tufanganj municipality, Holdibari and Mekliganj municipality. This is my objective on my paper to assess the socio-economic status of the female domestic workers in the urban areas of Cooch Behar district. This paper mainly based on primary data. I have used some indices to explore the socio-economic status of the female domestic worker. All female domestic workers in urban areas of Cooch Behar district is the total population, and I have chosen 500 female domestic workers in the 6 municipality by using the simple random sampling technique. Here I am showing some indices mainly used for the explore the socio-economic status of the female domestic workers in the study area. Mainly socio-economic index. Socio-economic index is the composition of 2 indices, social index and economic index. And social index is the composition of 3 index, health index, education index, and demographic index. And economic index is the combination is savings and loan index and income index. And after that, at last I have prepared the one composite index, mainly the socioeconomic status index, and it is helped to measure the socioeconomic status of female domestic workers in the study area. After prepare this index, I have divided the socioeconomic status in the study area in 5 groups, mainly very high, high, moderate, low, and very low. And the socioeconomic status of the Mathabanga municipality, most of the female domestic workers fall in the high and high socioeconomic status. Also, Tufanganj municipality domestic workers, and the municipality of Dinhata and Mekliganj, the female domestic workers are fall under the moderate socioeconomic status, and the municipality of Cooch Behar and Holdibari, most of the domestic workers fall under the low socioeconomic status. All over the scenario in the urban areas of the Cooch Behar district,
most of the female domestic workers fall under the moderate and low socioeconomic status. In conclusion, it is found that the socioeconomic status of the female domestic workers of 6 municipalities, such as Cooch Behar, Dinhata, Mathabanga, Tufanganj, Holdibari, and Mekliganj, are meager. In this study, it was depicted that most of the female domestic workers were illiterate, although educational level is an important factor that determines the socioeconomic status of women. On the other hand, the present study revealed that female domestic workers are exploited in the study area. They do not get minimum wages. The wage rate of the domestic worker varies at different municipalities. The income pattern of the female domestic workers is not sufficient for their subsistence. Having no margin of savings or capital generation, the wages of domestic workers are inadequate and insufficient for operating a good standard living, long hours of work, unpleasant work situation, lack of minimum facility at the workplace, and unacceptable working condition have affected their work efficiency, health, and moral development. In this way, low prestige and low wage rate have reduced domestic workers to most deprived and marginalized section in society. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanchayita,
Yes,
for
sir.
your brief presentation. Now the paper as presented by Sanchayita Bhadury, it is a joint paper, is now open for interaction. Participants may ask one or two questions. Any question? Any query?
I wish to say something, sir.
Yeah.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to everyone. You have mentioned in your paper that Cooch Behar is lying in the foothill of Himalayan region or in the Himalaya of Himalayan mountain. Okay, but how far my knowledge is concerned, my little knowledge is concerned, the Cooch Behar district will fall in the lower Piedmont area. I want to add this point to
Okay.
Sanchayita.
Actually, this information, I have found this information, some literature review and some censuses. So, okay, sir.
No, Sanchayita. Thank
sir.
you to Mr. Sanjeev Sarkar for giving the exact information.
Okay, sir. Okay,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, then we can move on to the next participant.
No, just one query, just
Okay,
from
sir.
my point that Sanchayita,
Yes, sir.
first of all, you have mentioned that is the north latitude and east latitude also. I think it should be east longitude. Okay.
Okay,
You have
sir.
mentioned. Okay. And
Okay,
another,
sir.
you have female domestic workers. Who are the
Yes.
female domestic workers?
Sir, I can use any Bengali word? অ্যাকচুয়ালি স্যার যারা মানে আরবান এরিয়াতে যে সমস্ত মহিলারা মানে কাজ করছে মানুষের বাড়ি তাদেরকে বলা হচ্ছে ফিমেল ডোমেস্টিক ওয়ার্কার্স
Excuse me, what kind of work? Can you please specify?
Yes.
What kind of work? Domestic works means those who work places of the people of houses. Means
Yes,
the maid,
houses.
the maids. You're talking
Maids,
about
mainly female domestic workers.
Only female domestic workers who are working in different households, right?
Yes, different household.
Okay. But those who are working other than household, say in, we can consider in a big apartment or other kind of works they are doing, you have not considered.
Okay, sir.
Okay, how did you actually select your sample size?
অ্যাকচুয়ালি ডোমেস্টিক ওয়ার্কার্সদের যে আপনার আরবান এরিয়াতে কোচবিহার ডিস্ট্রিক্টে যে ডোমেস্টিক ওয়ার্কার আছে তাদের কোনো অফিসিয়াল কোনো রেকর্ড নেই। এক্ষেত্রে আমি যেটা করেছিলাম আপনার প্রথম হচ্ছে নাম্বার অফ হাউস হোল্ড কালেক্ট করেছিলাম কোচবিহার ডিস্ট্রিক্টের যে আরবান এরিয়াস গুলো আছে সেই হাউস হোল্ডের বেসিসে আমি একটা নির্দিষ্ট ঠিক করে নিয়েছিলাম যে কোন মিউনিসিপ্যালিটির থেকে কতটা পরিমাণ আমি কালেক্ট করব। কিন্তু দেখা গেল যখন আমি কালেক্ট করতে গেলাম তখন দেখা গেল কিছু কিছু মিউনিসিপ্যালিটি আছে যেখানে আপনার মিউনিসিপ্যালিটি এরিয়া কিন্তু দেখা যাচ্ছে তারা ডোমেস্টিক ওয়ার্কার রাখে না। সেক্ষেত্রে আমি একটা ফর্মুলা ইউজ করেছিলাম। ফর্মুলা ইউজ করে তারপর আপনার ওখান থেকে মানে লিস্ট করে নিয়েছিলাম যে কোন হাউস হোল্ডে আপনার ডোমেস্টিক ওয়ার্কাররা কাজ করে। করার পর আপনার সিম্পল র্যান্ডম প্রসেসে আমি কালেক্ট করেছি।
না সে তো আমি যদি ধরি ওয়ার্ড ওয়াইজ ধরো একটা আরবান এরিয়াতে মনে করো 15টা হাউস হোল্ড আছে, ইন দ্যাট কেস 15টা ওয়ার্ডে যে হাউস হোল্ড গুলো আছে সবাই রাখে না, ঠিক আছে? তুমি তো কিন্তু যতগুলো ধরো 60% হাউস হোল্ডে রাখা হয়, এই যে 60% তুমি তো আর 60%ই মানে যেখানে রাখা হচ্ছে তাদের তো 100% নাওনি, সেটা তুমি কিভাবে সিলেক্ট করলে?
স্যার এটা তো আপনার মানে অ্যাকচুয়ালি স্নোবল টেকনিক ইউজ করা হয়েছিল। আর আপনার ওই যে নাম্বার অফ হাউস হোল্ড গুলো আমি ঠিক করে নিয়েছিলাম যে এতগুলো নেব, কিন্তু পার্টিকুলারলি সবগুলোতে আমি কিন্তু পাইনি ওভাবে। মানে আপনার ধরুন স্নোবল যেহেতু টেকনিক ইউজ করেছি, একজনকে ধরে আরেকজনের কাছে, আরেকজনকে ধরে আরেকজনের কাছে, আমার যতটা সম্ভব হয়েছে আমি সেইভাবেই করেছি।
মানে কোনো ধরো যে আরবান স্লাম এরিয়া থেকে বা ব্লাইট এরিয়া থেকে সেখানে বা কমার্শিয়াল এরিয়া বা যেখানে অ্যাপার্টমেন্ট আছে সেখানে এই ধরনের কোনো টেকনিক ইউজ করেনি যে?
না স্যার, আমি মেইনলি ওদের মানে ওনারা যে বাড়িতে কাজ করে সেখানে গিয়ে গিয়ে ওনাদের সাথে কথা বলে নিয়েছিলাম।
তো তুমি যে কোথাও কোথাও বললে যে ভেরি হাই বা হাই, কোথাও মিডিয়াম, এটা কিসের ভিত্তিতে করলে তুমি?
এটা স্যার ওদের সোশিও ইকোনমিক স্ট্যাটাসটা কিরকম তার ভিত্তিতে। এটা হচ্ছে আপনার কতগুলো আমি ইন্ডিসেস ইউজ করেছিলাম ওদের সোশিও ইকোনমিক স্ট্যাটাস মেজার করার জন্য।
তিনটা ইন্ডাইসিস নিয়েছো, তিনটা ইন্ডিকেটর নিয়েছো বলবো।
স্যার
এডুকেশনাল, একটা হেলথ, একটা আর একটা নিয়েছো
হ্যাঁ, ওটা হচ্ছে আপনার সোশ্যালের ক্ষেত্রে, আর ইকোনমিকের ক্ষেত্রে আমি নিয়েছি সেভিংস, লোনস এন্ড ইনকাম। এইগুলোকে কম্বাইন্ড করে তারপরে একটা কম্পোজিট ইন্ডেক্স করেছি।
আচ্ছা, কিন্তু এছাড়াও তো আরো অনেক ইন্ডিকেটর আছে।
হ্যাঁ
হ্যাঁ,
স্যার।
সেই ইন্ডিকেটর গুলোকে আমার মনে হয় তুমি যদি ফিউচারে কনসিডার করো, ইট উইল বি গিভ বেটার রেজাল্ট। হ্যাঁ,
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা স্যার, আচ্ছা।
ইকোনমিক স্ট্যাটাস মানে তুমি শুধু হেলথ নিয়েছো, আর ডেমোগ্রাফিকের মধ্যে কি কি নিয়েছো?
আমি ডেমোগ্রাফির মধ্যে শুধু নিয়েছিলাম নাম্বার অফ পপুলেশন, ফ্যামিলিতে কতজন পপুলেশন আছে।
না, তার উপর তো তুমি কি করে হবে? হ্যাঁ, ডেমোগ্রাফির মধ্যে তাদের মেরিটাল স্ট্যাটাস থাকতে পারে।
হ্যাঁ
হ্যাঁ,
স্যার, এখানে স্যার আমি একটা কথা বলি, আমি যে মানে এটা আমি জাস্ট একটা থিসিসের একটা পার্ট জাস্ট তুলে ধরেছি, কিন্তু আমি যখন মেন কাজটা করেছি তাতে আমি ডেমোগ্রাফি বলে একটা পার্টই করেছি।
আচ্ছা,
সেখানে আপনার মেরিটাল স্ট্যাটাস, আপনার এজ, রিলিজিয়ান, এই সবগুলোকে তুলে ধরেছি।
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে, ওকে।
ঠিক আছে স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
Our next speaker হচ্ছে
অভিজিৎ সেন। অভিজিৎ সেন, কৃষ্ণপাত্র
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Population growth and human-elephant conflict.
কৃষ্ণপাত্র, অভিজিৎ সেন, তপন কুমার দাস। হ্যাঁ,
Yes. Are you present?
ইয়েস, অভিজিৎ সেন, ইউ স্টার্ট। টপিক হচ্ছে পপুলেশন গ্রোথ অ্যান্ড হিউম্যান এলিফ্যান্ট কনফ্লিক্ট, এ জিওস্পেশিয়াল স্টাডি ইন জলপাইগুড়ি আলিপুরদুয়ার ডিস্ট্রিক্ট।
Good afternoon, everybody. Respected Chairperson and Co-Chairperson and Rapporteur. Myself, Abhijit Sen, Faculty Department of Geoinformatics, Coach Behar College. along with my two co-authors are Krishna Patro, Research Scholar, Magad University, and Dr. Tapan Kumar Das, Assistant Professor, Department of Geography, Cooch Behar College.
Share your screen.
I'm sharing.
Yes,
It
you're
is not
visible.
visible.
It is visible.
It is visible.
Uh-huh.
Your first slide is visible. The heading and presented name.
Presenting our paper on the topic Population Growth and Human-Elephant Conflict, a geospatial study in Jalpaiguri and Alipurduar district, West Bengal. Introduction. Man is the most important powerful factor that transforms the Earth's surface. With scientific and technological success, elephants are significant animals in the biome of dwarfs of West Bengal in India. The encroachment of natural forest due to population explosion as well as economic development and subsequent fragmentation of wildlife habitat are the main reason for human-elephant conflict in recent times. The present study attempts to assess the elephant habitat vulnerability and to delineate the conflict risk zone using geospatial technology, considering the related prime socio-economic factors of human population. This is the location map of our study area is consisting Jalpaiguri and Alipurduar district, West Bengal, India. Jalpaiguri district is covering 3,386 square kilometer and Alipurduar district covers 3,136 square kilometer. These are the very important literature which I have consulted and related with my work, and in everywhere author done this work giving the importance of specific factor, land use, land cover, transport, communication. But in our work we have attempted to consider all the parameters in a same platform. Objectives: to find out the changing pattern of land use and land cover in 1977 to 2021, and to detect the change of forest cover of the study area Jalpaiguri and Alipurduar district, West Bengal in the year 1977 to 2021, and finally to analyze the relationship between increase of human population and its impact on land use and land cover change causing fragmentation of elephant habitat. Methodology. First, we collect satellite image in USGS Earth Explorer site Sentinel-2 2021 to Landsat 15 MMS 1977. We create map NDVI, forest cover map, transport communication map, and land use land cover map. Then we collect census data 1981 to 2011 and create population density map. And next we collect elephant conflict data and create elephant conflict map 1980 to 2020. Elephant habitat vulnerability map has been created using population density change, forest cover change map, transport and communication buffer map, and land use change map. Using weighted overlay method. And finally, we create human elephant conflict risk map using the formula risk is equal to vulnerability into consequence, where vulnerability as elephant habitat vulnerability and kernel density is the consequence. NDVI, normalized difference vegetation index, using the formula near infrared minus rate divided by near infrared plus rate. This is 1977, this is 1991, this is 2001, this is 2011, and this is 2021. Based on NDVI values, patches have been grouped into 4 categories: very healthy to unhealthy vegetation, less than 0.23 has been recognized as unhealthy vegetation, and more than 0.3 as the state of very healthy vegetation. This is the combined map of NDVI. Here we see the legend. The deep green color is very healthy vegetation, and light green, yellow, orange, and red are healthy vegetation, moderate healthy vegetation, unhealthy vegetation, respectively. Forest cover change is created using NDVI values. This is 1977, this is 1991, this is 2001, this is 2011, and this is 2021. And this table show the forest and non-forest area in 1977 to 2021, and the graph represent the red color is non-forest area and the deep green is forest area, and the next and this another graph is show the trend line to show the changes of forest cover in various years, and the combined map of forest cover change and the trend lines showing the day by day increasing of non-forest area. These graphs are shown in red color, and the forest cover is decreasing in day by day, and these graphs show in yellow color. Settlement and communication network map. These maps are more important to our research because most of the conflict, human-elephant conflict, are occurred in railway and roadway. That's why this is the most important map of our study area. Population density. This is the population density of block-wise in 1981 and 2011, and this is the table of density in block-wise. This is the land use land cover map. We using RGS software in unsupervised classification and created this map in 1977 and 2021. And these graphs show the various classes of their percentage. In this is the graphical representation of 1977 to 2021. And this is the changing pattern of land use land cover. Here we see the natural vegetation is decreasing in 1977 to 2021 in 43 decades in minus 59%, and the built up area is increasing 58 to 229. This is 289%. And this is the overlay analysis using the communication network buffer map, and this is forest cover change map. We create 2021 to 1997, subtract from 1997 to 2021, and same as land use change, basically agricultural land and built up area, and this is the change of population density 2011 to 1981. And this is using this formula set in 1980 HP analytical hierarchical process, and this is the various criteria OATs, and the given weightage of difference criteria have been accepted because the standard value is 0.01 is less than our consistency ratio 0.08. This is the final map of elephant habitat vulnerability. We combined using the ASP method, and here we see the deep red color is very high vulnerable, and orange, blue, green, and yellow are high vulnerable, moderate, low vulnerable, very low vulnerable, respectively. This is the reserve forest in our study area. This is the Boikuntupur division, Boxer Tiger Reserve, Gorumara, and others. And this is the conflict point in various year 1980 to 2020. This red color represent the various conflict, human-elephant conflict. These data are collected from Wild Bengal website. And this is the kernel density zonation map. Using this conflict data, we create the zonation. The red color is represent the highly conflict zone, and the yellow color is represent the high, and green color is moderate, and blue color is low, and very low is at the purple color. And this is our final map of our research. Using the formula, risks is equal to vulnerability into consequence. Vulnerability is the elephant habitat vulnerability, and consequence are the kernel density zonation map. Using this these two map, we create this map. Here we see the highly vulnerable zone is highly risk zone is the Madarihat and Hashimara, and some this is the part of Jalpaiguri National Park, and the yellow color is represent in this area, and the moderate risk zone is green color, and the sky blue represent in the others portion. Conclusion: it is evident from the result that humans are more responsible than the elephant for occurrence of unexpected conflict between them. The people who are living in the forest land are encroaching the elephant habitat day by day for agriculture, settlement, and their livelihood, causing imbalance of natural setups, resulting in the conflict with the elephants. The development of roads and railway network within the elephant habitat are another important cause of elephant casualty by accident occurred at the crossing of elephant corridor and transport network. So both improvement of human consciousness and government initiative may reduce the human-elephant conflict in future. These are references and these some paper cuttings. Thank you for your kind attention.
Okay. Abhijit, for your presentation, now the joint paper presented by Abhijit Sen is open for interaction. Any query from the audience? No query.
I have one question.
Okay.
Okay. In your paper, you have said about the conflict between population and the human. Have you dealt with the vulnerability character? I mean, how many? What are the losses? What are the death tolls or something like that? Have you done in your paper? Just a query. This is a vulnerability map. The high vulnerability zonation mappings.
Abhijit?
Yes, ma'am. Can you repeat your question, please? Hello.
Actually, I just want to know the character of the vulnerability. I mean, how it is affecting the population. Means, have you done that portion?
This is based on the elephant habitat vulnerability map. Based on this is the in the year 1977, this area covered in forest area, but day by day in the 43 decades, this is changing of forest area to land uses for agriculture or some built up area and some road and railway network. This caused the elephant habitat and vulnerable elephant habitat are day by day change, and this is the highly vulnerable.
It's because of the vulnerability has been increased because of human population. The land use pattern has changed, right?
Yes,
So,
yes, ma'am.
how and you have mentioned about the conflict. So have you gone through the how many people are affected, how they're affecting, means how the elephants are also affected? Have you covered that portion?
No, not in this paper, ma'am.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Arati Pansekar and Savita Kulkarni. Okay.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I'm trying to share my screen.
Yes.
So is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Aarti Panchekar and I'm working as Assistant Professor in Geography in Government College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Sankhel in Goa. The topic of my presentation today is land use land cover dynamics in Zuari River Basin in Goa. This is the location of my study area. Zuari River has a great significance to the economy of Goa. It is one of the largest river in Goa after Bhadury River, and it is one of the tidal river, and it is very rich in mangrove vegetation, basically near the mouth of the river. It has also provided medicational facilities. It is also considered as a backbone for the agriculture. This river is also providing a port facility. One of the famous port, that is Murmuga Port, is located on the mouth of this river. Fishing is also one of the important economic activity in this watershed. Apart from this, this this river basin is facing many problems, which are basically dumping of waste from the industries, and these industries are basically located along the bank of the river. Then the acidity of the water is increasing. There is a problem of deforestation, basically because of mining activities, and then as a result, we have the environmental problem, that is soil erosion. Here you can see this Zuari river is covering almost 1/3 of the total area of Goa, and this is the only river which is originating in Goa, and it is draining its water in the Arabian Sea. So this full watershed is in the administrative territory of Goa. Uh, in my uh, uh, paper, my basic objective is to analyze and assess the land use change in the basin, for which I have taken 2 years, 2003 and 2020. Now here the data I will be using, those are the satellite images, Landsat 8 images, and the methodologies for this is supervised classification of the 2 satellite images, which I'm going to perform this in ADAS. And I have also used I have also used graphs and pie chart for the representation of data. Now, this is the land cover change for the year land use cover in 2003. Here, I have considered only 5 land cover classes. These are water bodies, vegetation cover, barren land, built-up area, and the agricultural land. If you see the table, here we can see that the water bodies are forming the almost 11% of the total area, and the vegetation cover is more, that is more than half, 58%. And then after this, we also have the barren land, and these barren lands are basically because of the mining activities, wherein they have cleared the forest areas, and now these areas have remained barren. If you see the built-up area, it is only making 3.34%. That is very less, and this data is as per the 2003 satellite image, and the agricultural land is 2%, which is on 28.4 square kilometer of area. This is the image, satellite image, by using the supervised classification for the 2003, wherein here it clearly shows the percentage of vegetation cover and the barren area, which is very high, and you can see the built-up area, those are very less. Here, this is the representation of land use classes for 2003 land use cover, wherein the barren land and vegetation cover has more share. Then again, this is the table for 2020, wherein I have taken the same classes, and the water bodies here, it is 9.373%, and vegetation cover is 45%, which has reduced. Then the barren land is 34%, built-up area is has increased, and that is 8.48%, and the agricultural land has also reduced, and it is only almost close to 2%. Now, this is the image which shows the land use pattern for the year 2020. Here you can clearly see that the built-up area has increased. Apart from this, the barren land has also increased, and the vegetation cover has reduced along with the agricultural areas. This is the pie chart. And now this is the comparative analysis of land use change for the year 2003 and 2020. In 2003, the water bodies were less. Sorry for the in 2000 in the 2003 the water bodies the share of water bodies was only 10%, and which has reduced to 9.73%. Vegetation cover has also reduced. Barren land has increased, and built-up area has also increased, and agricultural land has increased. This is the graphical representation of water bodies for the year 2003 and 2020. Then the vegetation cover, it also shows the barren land, it also shows the built-up area and the agricultural land. Thank you.
Thank you. Aruti, over your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for your nice presentation. Aruti Pansekar, she has presented land use, land cover dynamics in Zuari River Basin, Goa. Any query from the audience?
Yes, sir. May I
Yes.
put a question?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why the barren land is increasing in this region?
So barren land is increasing basically because of the mining areas, and these mines. What they have done is they have cleared the forest areas, they have cleared the vegetation, and now they are not planting the trees. Now they have remained barren. And apart from this, other constructional activities, there are many projects, and then there are many projects which are coming up, and then there are issues. People are not ready. There are many. There are objections from the environmental organization, though. So these construction projects were stopped in between. So these land has remained barren.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer. But one another question: if it is the reason for shrinking the, so for increasing the barren area, so why the water bodies is decreasing or shrinking?
So it may be because the population built up area has increased, and there is more demand for water. Tourism activity is also flourishing, and that can be a reason. That is, there is more demand for water.
Thank you. Thank you, Arti. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you.
Okay, sir.
Now it is over to the
No more queries anymore.
no more query. Thank
So
you.
in this session, we have covered 3 papers from 3 different spheres. Intense research works have been done on the socio-economic status of the workers, of a few female domestic workers in the urban sectors of the Cooch, Behar. Then we have highlighted the age-old human-elephant conflict in some parts of the Jalpaiguri district. That was a very good paper. We have seen the change in the land cover land use pattern, and the vulnerable areas were also discerned. And last but not the least, we have gone to Goa, where we have seen the river dynamics of Zuari and the change in the land cover land use pattern, how the built up area has been changed. So we have got a very good information on these spheres according to in the land, also the relationship between the land cover land use pattern and human interference have also been highlighted by our presenters. I would like to thank our chairperson
Thank you.
sir, for this for your time, and I would like to congratulate to all our presenters for the lovely presentations. Thank you all, and so it's I think the session is over, and I am transferring my call to Shudeshna. Are you there?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Chikmikar. Now, with this, we come to end today's session. A very heartily appreciation to all the dignitaries and participants for making this event such a success with their patience and hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So we can leave the meeting. Okay. Thank you. everyone.
তপন বাবু ভালো আছেন তো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, আপনি ভালো আছেন তো?
হ্যাঁ, চলে
sir,
যাচ্ছে
closing.
এখন
ওকে,
তো মানে অফলাইন অনলাইনের এই ব্লেন্ডেড মোড শুরু হবে, নানা কাজের এখন চাপ পড়ে যাচ্ছে।
ভালো থাকবেন স্যার,
হ্যাঁ,
আপনারাই আমাদের ইন্সপিরেশন। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
ঠিক 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 আছে সুদেশনা।
Thank you, sir.
হ্যাঁ ঠিক।
Pompi আমি left করছি, হ্যাঁ?
This is the end of the day. Thank you. Thank you all.
করবো?
হ্যাঁ, হয়ে গিয়েছে স্যার।
হ্যাঁ।